Well, today is the day I tell the story once and for all. How much money I lost, how I actually lost it. For those of you guys who've been following me on the channel for a while, you guys know that I've mentioned several times on this channel I lost a lot of money in 2015 doing some things I shouldn't have, and I've talked a little bit about it, but I've never gone into depth about it. I've never done a full video about it. I've never told the actual amount and the whole story behind it. It was $75,000 I lost in 2015 that I can't get back. That money's gone. And today I'm going to explain to you guys exactly how that happened step by step. And it's a little embarrassing to talk about because I had done so great for so long and I went so far off track. But I think it needs to be said. I think it's a story that needs to be told because just the great stories can't be told. Some bad things happen. Some bad things happen in the investing world. And I got caught up into some things I'd never done before and some huge mistakes I made. Huge mistakes, guys. So we're going to cover all that. And for those of you guys who do not know my story real quick, the story up to this date was $0 to $200,000. From 19 years old having no money to having $200,000 invested before I was even age 25. And then I got caught up into a lot of stuff that did not get me to that place, and that's what had my downfall, guys. So let's get into this right now. Not the happiest video in the world, but the story needs to be said at the end of the day. Number one, I got caught up into what's called margin trading in 2014. So the year prior, I had started margin trading. Now, margin trading, for those of you guys who do not know, it is basically investing debt, taking out money to invest more money. Taking out debt that you have to pay interest back on that debt because you think you're so great at investing that you can take out debt at a 6% interest rate or a 7% interest rate and you can make that money into money. That is what margin trading is. In margin trading, for someone like myself, I attribute it to being like the same as a drug. Literally, it was like a drug. Here's how it was like a drug. It was super addictive. Like I just wanted to invest more of it and invest more of it. And it, like most drugs, it started out fabulous. Like the very first month or two I did it, it was fabulous. I was making money. And that actually helped push my account up in 2014 to those all-time record levels. And then throughout 2014, it started to go down and down and down. And margin became a bigger and bigger problem until 2015 came around and I was a total junkie. Number two, the stock market stopped going up. Up until that time, the markets had pretty much just gone up and up and up for my investing time. I got in the markets in 2009. Best time to get involved with the markets for the last 2-3 decades, guys. Markets were super low. I mean, the Dow was at like 7,000, 8,000 when I started investing. Like the markets just went up and up and up for years. And all of a sudden, they stopped going up. They stopped going up. And companies started struggling a little bit, and China got a little weaker. And the United States wasn't quite as strong as expected. And some of the other emerging markets got a little weaker. And so the markets stopped going up, and they started actually falling a little bit, which is kind of the worst situation when you're on margin. When you're on margin, you really need those markets to keep going up. Number three, I began trading earnings heavy on margin. What that means is every 3 months, companies come out with their earnings, right? Well, there was a lot of companies and a lot of industries that I followed so intensely that I knew almost exactly what their numbers were going to be. And so my thinking was, I know what that company's revenues are probably going to come in at, what the EPS is probably going to come at. So therefore, since I know that, I know the companies that are probably going to beat earnings because I can see what the analyst estimates are. That's public information. So therefore, I should start going heavy on margin and playing these earnings. And I would do that. I would do $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 invested on an earnings call. And that was probably the worst time to be doing that, 2015, because the companies that I knew were going to beat, they generally beat, and almost 98% of the time, I was right. I was right. You know, if I knew a company was going to beat earnings, they beat earnings. But what happened was a lot of guidance was weak, or they weren't quite meeting analyst estimates as far as the guidance went. Some of those kinds of things, guys, and I would lose massive amounts of money. There were days I would lose $10,000, $15,000 plus in a day. Literally, imagine going to bed one morning, you got $15,000 more than you had the previous day, and then the next day you wake up and it's gone. You like that's ridiculous, guys. So that is just a huge thing that tore up my money left and right and just took so much money from me. Number 4, my number 1 investment, King Digital, which made like the Candy Crush game and whatnot and some of those other kind of games. They were doing good, but the problem was they would always sandbag guidance. I don't know why. I don't know if they legitimately always thought they were going to do these numbers, but they always sandbagged guidance. So they would beat earnings. They would beat earnings. They would beat the revenue, and they would generally always beat the EPS number. But the problem was King Digital, they would just keep sandbagging the guidance. Like they would, say, oh, we're only going to do such and such number. When I followed their games, I tracked them heavily. That's something I talk about in the book, how I would think outside the box and calculate all these numbers and a formula and whatnot. And I would be like, why would they sandbag these numbers? But they consistently did it quarter after quarter, and it would cause the stock to go down after earnings generally, instead of up like they should have been going up. So that just freaking killed me, and I was heavy on margin on that stock because it was my number 1 investment. Then number 5, my second biggest stock, Wynn Resorts, would not stop bleeding. Wynn Resorts, I started getting involved with that when it was around the $80 range. Wynn Resorts was like a $240 stock. Macau started to struggle. It fell to like 150, 100, then around to 80. That's when I started getting involved with it. I was buying it all in the 70s and whatnot. But that stock would not stop bleeding. It would not stop going down because Macau numbers would come out. Macau is the biggest gambling hub in the world, and Wynn Resorts is so reliant on that. They would come out with numbers, and they would be horrible, like every month. And I knew the trough was coming sooner or later, so I started going heavier and heavier and heavier in Wynn Resorts, and I started selling more and more of my King shares, going into Wynn more and more, until Wynn actually became my number 1 investment. Number 6, I then went all in on Wynn shares. So I then sold off everything, and I went all in on Wynn shares because at this point it was like in the 60s. It was like in the 60s, and it was like such mind-blowing prices to me that it was like the best deal in the world. It was like the best deal in the world. So I was like, I just need to go all in on these Wynn Resorts. And so I did 1,400 shares, which was all I had, and that was on margin at this time. This was on margin, and I had, because I had already lost a massive amount of money. I lost quite a bit from my peak in 2014, and then 2015 I was just losing money left and right. So I could afford to own 1,400 shares. The rest of them were bought in the 60s, and Wynn went down another 30% in September 2015. Went down another 30% in a month. Oh gosh, guys, so painful. So painful. So I was paying interest. on all this money, like I think it was like 6.59% or something like that. So I was paying monthly interest, which my monthly interest was like, I think it was around $400, $500, $600 a month I was paying in margin interest, which would take money out of my account. Then on top of that, I had trading fees. Then on top of that, I started getting margin calls because my stocks would drop so far. And when you get a margin call, that's basically your brokerage forcing you either to deposit more money into your account or you have to sell positions. Well, for me at this particular time, I had no job, I had no income, I had no business, I had nothing. I had nothing in 2015 because I thought I was just going to be a professional stock market trader for the rest of my life, so I don't need to do anything else. So I was basically forced to sell shares and sell shares at a loss and keep doing that, guys. Oh my gosh, it's so ugly. So then what happened is this is kind of like the climax of the story here. Number 8, I had no income, as I just explained, and so I had to sell everything on October 1st, 2015. Now, why did I have to sell everything? Well, technically, I guess I didn't, but I got that down to a number that I was basically like, if I get down to this number, I'm going to stop investing all the way through. I'm not going to invest a penny. I need to just sell everything because I had no income. I have a family. I got a wife. I got a kid. I need to provide a living for us. And if I got down to this such and such number, I would just sell every single stock I owned. And that's exactly what I did. October 1st, 2015, sold everything. Everything. And here's arguably the saddest part of the entire story. You guys aren't going to believe this. Number 9, October 2nd, 2015. The day after I sold all my shares in Wynn, which was the only shares I held at that time, those 1,400 shares, the day after, Wynn Resorts went up $11 per share. $11 per share. Times $11 times 1,400 shares and tell me what amount of money you get. That's the amount of money I missed out on. And that was just, I don't want to get super religious because I haven't even been to church in, I don't know, probably 6-8 years or something like that. But I do believe in God, and I do believe that sometimes He just like sends a signal down to you like, dude, like, you know, whatever route you're going down, this is not the route you need to be going down. And that's what I felt at that moment. Like, He was like up there like saying, dude, you're an idiot. What the hell are you doing with your life? You're sitting at this desk, you're trading stocks, and like you could be doing so much more in the life. You're wasting your life away like a junkie wastes their life away on heroin or meth or something like that, guys. That's exactly what I was. I was a junkie wasting my ways, just sitting here looking at stock prices all day. That's what I was doing. And that was a clear signal to me, especially the day after I sell out. $11 it goes up per share. $11. So, all in all, I lost $68,000 from stocks. So, $68,000 in stocks I lost. I paid $5,000 in margin interest throughout that time. $5,000, guys. A lot of margin interest, but I was taking out so much money in margin. I did over $2,000 worth of trades. Over $2,000, which shows how much I was trading that year, which is horrible because I'm a long-term investor. Like, I don't think like in terms of, you know, trading in and out of this stock. Like, but that's what I was doing in 2015. That's what I was doing, guys. I was trading like insane. To rack up over $2,000 in trades, and trades were $7.95. You got to do the math on that, and you can see that I was doing massive amounts of trades throughout the year to rack up that amount of money, guys. Absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible. So, coming to the end here, I'm happy 2015 happened, and I know that sounds like people are going to roll their eyes and say, oh, dude, how can you be happy about that? I'm absolutely happy. I would not return it for anything, guys. I'm so happy 2015 happened, because if 2015 happened, I wouldn't be doing shit in my life still. I would be sitting here trying to make $40,000, $50,000 a year, stock market trading miserably, instead of doing some things in the world, instead of like inspiring people in the world to learn about investing, to learn about, you know, all the great things about it and some of the bad things, the ugly side, the 2015 side for me, learn about business. Like, I inspire tens of thousands of people now. Like, that's way, way, way better than sitting here doing sitting at and looking at an iPad. Like, I'm meant to do bigger things in the world than just fucking, than just sit looking at my iPad all day, you know, looking at stock prices going up and down, you know, putting in trades. Like, I'm like bigger than that. Like, there's something more for me out there in the world. Like, cool is not making $40,000 a year trading stocks. Like, cool to me is like inspiring tens of thousands of people, like telling my parents I had a best-selling book. Like, you know how cool that shit is? Like, that's fucking cool. So 2015 happened. Happy it happened, because if it didn't, I would still just be doing nothing in life. I would never started my real estate marketing company. I never would have done that, guys. I never would have started my real estate marketing company. I never would have started this channel. Like, none of what I have going on nowadays, like, that would have never existed. It never would have. It never would have, because it took something dramatic to happen to me to get me off my ass, and that's dramatic. Going down, losing $75,000 in a year, when you thought you were the god, you thought you were the investing god, because you had made 30-40% a year for 4 or 5 years straight. Like, literally, that I was so like, in my head, you know, I wasn't like cocky exteriorly, but in my head, I was so freaking cocky. It was disgusting. Like, I thought I was like, when you're doing better than your idols and your gods you look up to, like, you just think you're everything. It's like winning the Super Bowl year after year after year after year. I mean, you're going to get a big head eventually. And that's what happened to me. And that's the story behind it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. We got to talk about the bad, because there's not a lot of bad to talk about, because most of my investing career has been nothing but success. But 2015 was nothing but me being a junkie. It's exactly what it was, guys. Me being a junkie. So I hope you enjoyed the story regardless. There's a lot of lessons to be learned about basically staying away from margin trading, staying away from short-term trading, staying away from thinking you're thinking, getting too cocky about, having some success one year or several years in a row like I had, which was 4 or 5 years in a row. Huge success, and then getting a big head and thinking you can do this and this and this and this and this when really you can't. You need to stay in your lane, guys. So hope you enjoyed it. If you just came across this video, you may want to subscribe. We talk personal finance on this channel. We talk entrepreneurship. I'm an actual business owner. I give away so many business tips on this channel. We talk the stock market, the most of everything. Usually we talk about how to successfully invest, but today we had to talk about the ugly side when you lose money, guys. So thank you for watching and have a great day.